Okay, welcome back. So before we introduce our next speaker, I just want to say once again, thanks to our sponsors. We really, it's not just the food and the beer and everything like that in the facility enabling us to get here in Chicago, but it also funded some subsidies for people who otherwise couldn't afford to be here. And it's, yeah, we were able to fund more than ever before. And it also, as I said the other night, each one of these vendors that we have out there is working with existing Lion members, and you can talk to those Lion members about the utility of it. So we see the sponsors as helping us solve problems too. So once again, those are, and remember to fill out your passport thing so you can have a chance to win $100. Just bring it over to me over at the desk. We have a little jar over there. Remember to put your name on it, so before you put it in the jar. Right. Yes, exactly, right. So once again, those are the people who are here are Harkin, Walsh Creative, Broad Street, Town News, Busyhood, and Bigger Media. And we also want to express great appreciation once again to Knight Foundation, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later, Democracy Fund, Center for Cooperative Media, Montclair State, and the McCormick Foundation right here in Chicago. A couple other things. Remember to vote for your 40 ideas. We've got a lot of responses so far, but your 40 ideas winner, because we'll be doing that drawing probably this afternoon, right? Or not drawing, but telling you who won. And what was the other thing that I was supposed to?
The unconference votes.
Right, vote for your unconference session out there. And another logistical note is we have asked for the heat to be turned up in this room. So thanks, Suzanne. And so hopefully that'll be happening a little bit within a few minutes here. So they can press some button, I guess, in some other building. So we want to introduce you to the guy that you've already been introduced to because he's been emceeing this whole time, right? Who is Dylan Smith. And I don't know if you really said much about yourself personally, right? So Dylan is the founder, the editor, and the publisher of the Tucson Sentinel in the desert, right? And he is a co-founder of Lion. He's been in since Lion started. He was involved in Block by Block before that. And he's been the chairman of the board for years. And the chairman of the board in an organization like Lion, which is a almost entirely volunteer organization, does things like build the Lion website, make sure that checks get paid, make sure that meeting agendas happen, make sure that the Lion sign out there is assembled and lugged through airports and stuff like that. And so in addition to doing the hectic schedule of running your own site, which you guys are all know how much involved is that, he's devoted an enormous amount of time to making this organization work and spending, just like Howard and other people, spending so much time one-on-one mentoring other publishers. So we appreciate that very much. Yeah. And he's going to talk a little bit about where we're at.
What I want to touch on briefly, because I know everybody's eager to hear from John and then get a sandwich, is a little bit about the importance of Lion and what we do together, and the importance of what each of us does as a publisher and why we're doing it. And you know, when I started my website because I was mad. You know, Gannett closed down my newspaper. So I went home, had a beer, and registered a domain name. And I knew this was coming. We went through this whole 5-month process of, knowing that the shutdown was imminent. So I'd had a lot of time to think about it. So it wasn't an immediate, in split-second reaction, but it was very much a reactive move. And I think just about everybody in this room, just about everybody in Lion, their leap into being an independent publisher was somewhat of a reactive one. I mean, raise your hand if you got laid off from a newspaper and that's why you went and started a website. Yeah, a very good chunk of us. That's kind of how, you say, well, what All right, raise your hands again. Let's see who, you started your website because you got laid off, because you got shut down, because you got squeezed out. Yeah. And I think, for me, what I said actually, the moment I went back to my desk and sat down with my team 5 months before we shut down, when we learned that we were, they were trying to sell it, which we knew that they were going to eventually pull the plug. I sat down and I said to my folks, my small online team, I was like, well, when they do close us, well, let's go do it because we couldn't fuck it up any worse than these guys have. And well, much like the motto that the Cubs have had this year, try not to suck. So I think I've measured up to that, at least, over the past several years since 2009. We've tried very hard not to suck. And we've actually managed to do some things very, very well and led the pack in reporting on a number of issues, and we're pretty proud of that. But I think I can't point to, all that many specific stories because they all, blend together. What I'm proud of is being part of a movement of people like you who are rebuilding local news, making local news work again. Because local news works when it is actually local, when it is a local publisher, a local business that is invested in the community, not just trying to profit from it and throw money on the back of the same trucks that deliver the newsprint and take it out of town. We're there trying to build a better community with our presence, with making people informed, and I think that's very important. And I'm very so pleased to be working with all of you guys in that respect, of, trying to make local news better again. And this conference is so very different than so many of the other industry conferences I go to every year because the attitude is different. You go to another conference and so much of the talk is about somebody whose job just changed because they got bought and they had to reapply, or they just got laid off, or even worse, they're wondering when they're going to get laid off. Just on Friday, Gannett laid off 1,000 people all across the country. Shoved 1,000 people out the door. And we don't hear. Yeah, I mean, now we've got 1,000 more potential Lion members. Right? Exactly. People who've learned at least what not to do, and some things about what to do, and I think we're all finding our way with, what to do, how to actually make this work. And that's what's so impressive about this, is we don't talk about that stuff anymore because we are no longer being reactive. It's no more, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. I have to go do this. We're talking about how to do the things that we are doing rather than comparing ourselves to what Lee or Gannett or Gatehouse and how all of those businesses are running, how they're reporting, because we're doing something that is different. And I think you guys should all be aware of how 20 years from now, this last 5-year period, as so many of us got going, will be very important in the history of American journalism. And thank you very much for that.